Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Benz, Vice President and leader of the Atlanta Marketplace at Ketchum, and a proud Xavierite who attended Xavier University of Louisiana. As we celebrate and reflect on Black History Month here at Ketchum, I'm very excited to be joined in a conversation today by Ashley Christopher and Nia Anderson, two amazing leaders that have inspired me and I hope will inspire you. We're going to be hearing from them about the importance of this month based on both our personal perspectives and also their relationships with historically Black colleges and universities, also known as HBCU. I'll start by introducing Ashley, the CEO and founder of the HBCU Week Foundation, a pro bono partner of Ketchum, which I'm very, very happy and thrilled to partner with, whose mission focuses on creating pathways for Black and Brown students to enroll in HBCUs and sustaining a pipeline for employment from undergraduate school to corporate America. Nia is a student who can attest firsthand, like myself, to the power of this mission as a past recipient of the Future of Chemistry Scholarship, which was awarded in partnership with the Chemours Company and the HBCU Week Foundation. She is currently studying at Howard University, a top institution and prestigious HBCU, which my mother attended as well, located in Washington, D.C. So let's dig in. What have you been doing to reflect and celebrate Black History Month this year? We'll start with Ashley.
Well, for me, Black history should be celebrated and acknowledged all year round. So there's no particular pivot or transition that I take when the month of February rolls around. But I will say that this month I do make a concerted effort to make sure that I really lean in with my son, who's an eighth grader, particularly leaning in to see what is being taught in school when it comes to Black History Month. I teach him a lot here at home. But I'm always interested in knowing how schools highlight the History Month and what they're teaching their students there. So we take some extra time during the month of February to discuss Black leaders, Black innovators, and Black history. But like I said, year round, we do that as well.
Black History Month has always been important, right? And when I think about recent events and the current climate of this nation, this year, out of most years, I feel like it's really imperative, given, the disproportionate effect of COVID-19 on Black Americans, to this summer's events and the unfortunate passing of George Floyd and many others. So it's important to have this time to celebrate like our triumphs and our victories. And Black history is all day and every day. What I've been doing this month is just taking time to research, prominent figures in Black history and to also educate others.
I agree with you both. And, Black history is American history, and it is need to celebrate every day. And for this month, for myself, I'm really focusing on the joy, as you said, Nia, that there's a lot that has happened in the last year, that this is a time of trying to really figure out the joy that I have within myself and Black joy. So that leads into my next question about our Black community at Ketchum has had a lot of conversations about viewing Black History Month through the lens of Black joy. What are your thoughts on protecting your joy and your peace during Black History Month and beyond?
I want to be authentic to my Black self. And I know that, similar to what I said previously, my Black joy cannot be limited to a single month, right? I'm Black and I'm proud. And my HBCU, the illustrious Howard University, has taught me so much in such a short amount of time. And it's taught me that without struggle, there is no progress. And sure, progress has been pretty slow, but it's been steady nonetheless. And I just know that my peers and we recognize the enormous struggle that our ancestors had before us. And so we humbly accept the baton.
So for me, embracing that joy, similar in part to what Nia said, is remembering our ancestors, remembering how hard they fought the struggles that they faced and the reason why we have access to the opportunities that we have today. It's a personal responsibility of mine to reach back while I climb. It is no sense, or it makes no sense for me to succeed or me to excel when there is a slew of people behind me that I could help to do the same thing. And that really brings me an exorbitant amount of joy, just being able to lean into people that look like me and help to offer that same access to opportunity that I had. I think that's very important for any Black person on their way in their career, just to make sure that you are opening doors for somebody behind you. And that may mean having difficult conversations in the position that you're in, creating a way, changing policy to make it just a little easier for the next person that's going to one day fill your position. And that's what really brings me joy this month and every month of the year.
Who are some members of the Black community that inspire you most right now?
Our current Vice President, Kamala Harris. Not only do we share the same alma mater, I'm also a graduate of Howard University, but we're also attorneys. We also join sororities, although different, at Howard. She has just been, to me, such a symbol of excellence and strength and pride. And what she has been able to accomplish in just 55 years, because she's still relatively young, to me, is just overwhelming. You know, it sometimes makes me emotional. I remember watching her acceptance speech when she was deemed by the Democratic Party the vice president nominee. It was something that I'll never be able to really put into words. You know, just seeing that happen in my lifetime is something that I'll be able to. I already have a son. We talk about it all the time, and we'll be able to talk about it with my grandchildren and his children. But just the amount of strength that she has demonstrated in her process has been something that I'll hold on to and I'll pull back to, you know, in any situation I'm in. You know, sometimes she's now a person that I could say, well, what would Kamala do here? Or what would, the vice president do here? So she's definitely somebody that I look to as, a person that in our space has really created a lane of her own, and also for others to latch on to and travel that same path.
The beauty of our culture is that our history it's rich and it's deep. So I can just think off the top of my head and name a few that are the epitome of Black girl magic, right? There's one rock star engineer that I look up to, and her name is Dr. April Erickson. And she was actually the first female PhD at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. And then, you know, on the other hand, one can't say enough about Stacey Abrams and what she did and the impact that she had on the 2020 election. And she registered over 800,000 new voters in Georgia, which was it was a game changer. And of course, similar to what Ashley said, our Madam Vice President, Kamala Harris.
I take so much pride in knowing that some of our best and brightest in our community attended HBCUs like yourself and myself. Talk to me about the value of the HBCU experience and the work that the HBCU Week Foundation does to make the experience more accessible to Black and Brown students.
The HBCU experience is one that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that's why I always encourage people to at least explore that option for higher education. For Black and Brown students, it is probably the only time in your life where you'll not be the minority. You'll be surrounded by people that look like you with the same goals and aspirations. You don't feel like you have to code switch. You're free to just breathe and receive your education in an environment without the stress of having to fit in or say, quote, the right thing, or not do or say the right thing. But the culture that you're surrounded with is a family environment, again, with people that look like you. And the HBCU Week Foundation is wholeheartedly committed to pouring into Black and Brown students why it is important to attend these institutions. So, in addition to, advocating for attendance, we also provide pretty significant scholarship opportunities and post-graduation job opportunities. So we're creating and sustaining a pipeline that is somewhat of a wraparound service. We don't do just transactional work with students. It's not like, hey, we'll find you some money, here's your money, go off to this school, see you later. No, we keep in contact with our students year round. And the scholarship opportunities we offer are pretty significant. They range from our smallest scholarship award is $10,000 and our largest is $40,000. So we're really committed with our corporate partners to make sure that we're making a significant impact on our students, to offer them this experience while also putting a dent in the cost of their college education.
That's amazing. Mia, tell me a little bit more about your personal experience and why you attended Howard and how those doors have been open for you.
All right. The level of pride that I feel from attending Howard University is just unmatched. HBCUs are just made up of people of color and culture and purpose and just so much. There's so many people, so many great people that come together and make it such a wonderful experience. And it's a once in a lifetime experience as well. And, my experience is actually virtual right now, but it's still been extremely rewarding. On the financial aspect, I received scholarships, my main scholarship being from the HBCU Week Foundation and the Camorris Company. And just being at my HBCU has taught me resilience, tenacity, and confidence in myself and in my color and my people. And the one homecoming that I got was actually really lit. So yeah,
homecoming is fun.
Ashley. So I just want to thank Ashley, for having the vision to create the HBCU Week Foundation.
I share your same sentiment. Homecoming is a very fun experience, and then just to be surrounded by your community every day really does help with the self-confidence and growing. So I can talk about that firsthand. And Ashley, you mentioned earlier about what corporations should be considering in order to better engage and support Black and Brown students who make up the future workforce. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think it's really important for corporations to go into the communities where they're headquartered or where they have offices and go to those HBCUs and have conversations and have recruiting opportunities, and not just the popular ones, right? Nia and I went to Howard University, you went to Xavier. There's about 10, 15 schools tops that are always in the HBCU conversation, right? And while I'm very prideful about attending and graduating from Howard University, there are other universities that need a second look as well. So I would encourage all of these corporations to look and reach back into their communities and see which HBCUs are there. Because there's so many bright students at these schools. You don't have to go to Howard or Hampton or Xavier or Morehouse or Spelman or Hampton just to be, a bright student from an HBCU. There are 107 of these universities out there with top tier talent. And I think it's important to explore that. And also consider partnering with organizations like me over at the HBCU Week Foundation. We have a significant pulse and a touch on Black and Brown students nationwide and within these HBCUs. So we would be a great liaison for these corporations to get involved.
In addition to opening doors to HBCUs, I've been inspired by learning more about the work that HBCU Week is doing to create access to specialized fields such as STEM, which my daughter is starting to get more involved in, for Black and Brown students. Can you tell me a little bit more from your perspective, leading HBCU Week, why that's so important?
Well, the STEM scholarship that we offer right now, the Future of STEM Scholars Initiative, is a $40,000 scholarship to students who commit to attend an HBCU and declare a STEM major. We have 150 of those scholarships available. And our application actually closes on March 1st, so it'd be prudent for anybody to explore that on our website. But there's a personal reason why that STEM scholarship is important to me. And I haven't really shared this on a public platform, but I'm happy to talk to you about it here. Back in 2014, I suffered a stroke. I was 29 years old, and I woke up without any sense of touch or feeling in the right side of my body. And when it was found after, the ambulance was called and I was rushed to the hospital, I could not move the right side of my body. It was declared that I had a stroke. So I'm 29 years old and I have all these doctors trying to figure out why I suffered a stroke. I had a hematologist examining my blood, a neurologist examining my brain, a cardiologist looking at my heart, an attending physician. I had 5 doctors all standing over me trying to figure out, why did this girl have a stroke? And there was one doctor that made me comfortable during that process. And this is not a knock on the other doctors, but I believe representation matters. My cardiologist was a young woman of color, a Black woman, Dr. Yolanda Hendley. And every time she stepped in the room, every time she spoke to me, every time she held my hand to tell me it was going to be okay, she made me feel like I was at home, like I was going to be okay. I really believed her. All of the other doctors and physicians were older white men. And just having her in that room, in that field, with that knowledge and expertise, gave me a sense of comfort that is unexplainable. And studying STEM is a pathway into being a cardiologist, right? So diversifying the field of medicine is very important to me, because I feel like in those instances, you're going to look to your left or your right, and there's not going to be a family member that can be around. But if you have a doctor in place that can help you through that experience, that looks like you, that has the same cultural representation or background as you, it's very, very helpful. So this scholarship is important personally to me for that reason.
That is an amazing story, and it is very much in the news of talking about everything that's going on with COVID right now, and more Black representation in the medical field, because it makes it more easier for people to relate and to talk and to have those conversations and feel comfortable. So that is a very relatable story, and I'm glad that you're healthy now. To close out this conversation, if you could get 5 minutes with someone who has made Black history now or present, now or in the past, who would that be, and what would you want to talk to them about?
I think I would definitely want it to be with Fred Hampton. And I recently watched the film Judas and the Black Messiah, and I was moved, to say the least. Fred Hampton was the deputy chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, and he was under immense pressure from the U.S. government, and he was under a lot of pressure, but he stood and he remained a revolutionary. And one line in the movie, he's speaking to a crowd and he says, "I am a revolutionary." And so I really felt that. And he was just at the age of 21 when he did all of this. And he formed a rainbow coalition of disadvantaged groups to fight against, police misconduct. And I really admired his unwavering conviction to gain justice for the people and for all of the people. And so he was just completely selfless, and I admired that, and I was really inspired, and it inspired me to see what I too could achieve.
So for me, I would go right back to Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. I would love to have 5 minutes with her just to hear more about her story, how she got to where she went, how she overcame the obstacles, how she responded when she was the only one in the room. She would be a great person. I would be honored to sit down with her for 5 minutes.
Ashley and Nia, thank you so much for joining this discussion. For anyone interested in learning more about the HBCU Week Foundation's incredible work helping to create much-needed societal change through the power of education and access to the opportunity, visit hbcuweek.org. And if you know of any high school seniors planning to attend an HBCU and focus on a STEM major, encourage them to apply to the FOSSI Scholarship Program by March 1st by visiting hbcuweek.org/FOSSI. Thank you so much to you both for sharing your thoughts, your Black excellence, your Black girl magic with myself, Ketchum, and the rest of the community.